Whether they invoke the awkward boy craze nostalgia of middle school, like PEN15,
Robert Terry?
Here.
Julie Berger?
No.
or trigger the beauty and trauma of high school relationships, like Euphoria.
I had made a new best friend, and for the first time since getting out of rehab, I was feeling good about the world.
There have been a lot of TV shows made about the teenage experience in the last couple of years. And thanks to COVID, we've binged all of them. But one thing's definitely different from the high school shows like Dawson's Creek, Moesha, One Tree Hill, and yes, even Gossip Girl.
This is my moment. I own prom.
There's a new era in coming-of-age television, and a lot of them appear to be made for people who, well, already came of age a while ago. Some of the most critically acclaimed shows starring teenagers definitely came with an MA rating for nudity, sex, drugs, and violence.
It's so weird to think that, like, no matter what happens, the universe is just out here giving, like, zero.
Is it that these new series explore more universal human issues and not just teen ones? Or do they just examine the real issues of adolescence, friendship, and sex, especially in the age of social media, that the shows of the 90s just sort of glossed over, romanticized, or just didn't think would appeal to a big enough audience? Let's take a look at some of the hottest adult shows about the teen experience. First up is Netflix's Sex Education, a British comedy series about awkward teen boy named Otis, played by Asa Butterfield, who struggles with the fact that his mother, played by the brilliant Gillian Anderson, is a well-known sex therapist and enjoys one-night stands on a regular basis.
Your mom's new boyfriend is a big, hot, sticky, wet dream.
Yeah. Mom doesn't do boyfriends.
Any new viewer to the show, which has already had 2 seasons, should take hint from the title. There's a lot of sex in it. 1 minute into the first episode, and we're thrown right into the deep end.
Did you just fake it?
Don't be stupid.
There's a lot more sex and laughs and high school angst while teens start going to Otis and his friends for guidance on their relationships and sexual problems.
You should wash your hands, you dirty pig.
I didn't do a poo. I was crying.
Oh.
Brushes.
Oh my God, Otis. 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 Otis.
And the general sexual frustrations of adolescence. Raunch and British humor mixed with the nostalgia of high school awkwardness is pretty damn watchable. HBO's We Are Who We Are follows the coming of age and friendship of 2 American 14-year-olds, Frasier, played by Jack Dylan Grazer, and Caitlin, also known as Harper, played by Jordan Christine Simon, as they navigate high school on an American army base in Italy.
Do we think that being male means knowing how to shoot guns and pee standing up?
This is not what I had in mind for you.
It's a slow burn of a show that examines all the major issues teenagers face: sexuality, identity, friendship, social dynamics, pressures of school, and home life. But maybe the appeal to adults is that these kids are cooped up in a very adult and militant world. And their parents. Chloe Savini plays Fraser's mother and the newly appointed colonel of the army base, while Kid Cudi plays Caitlin's strict conservative officer father, also face similar issues of identity and purpose, along with the fun of parenting teenagers.
Thin slices.
In a sense, the military base is almost like a high school, but a little more sexist.
You know, in the last year, we had 20 brawls, 3 rapes, and 2 suicides. Good luck with all that, sweetheart.
And that was on your watch, Colonel.
And the small Italian beach town just outside of the American base's wall serves as a lovely contrast. Everyone in the show is trying to either fit in or break themselves out of the social and literal walls of the base. There's also a lot of full frontal nudity and sex, making it geared toward a mature viewer and who can relate to the parents while reminiscing on the struggle to find yourself when you're only 14.
Wait, hold on.
Another series that got a lot of attention at the end of 2020 was Amazon's The Wilds. You might consider it a modern, diverse, and female version of Lord of the Flies. Remember that disturbing novel about British boys and mutiny, the one we were all forced to read at some point in high school? Well, The Wilds is the story of a group of teen girls who survive a plane crash that leaves them stranded on a deserted island. The girls, who were all from different backgrounds, ethnicities, and sexualities, were on their way to a young woman's empowerment retreat in Hawaii when their plane crashed down somewhere in the Pacific. There's a big spoiler twist about this dire situation, but we'll just say that the name of the retreat they were all headed to, the Dawn of Eve, is definitely a bit of foreshadowing of what's to come.
What kind of person sees an island full of lost girls and doesn't send help?
daughter is stepping back from a very dark precipice.
Sometimes I feel guilty that we lied to her.
You did that to save her.
In a show that The Guardian called Lost Meets Mean Girls, The Wild is actually for both teens and adults since it technically has a 14 rating and sexual scenes that aren't too graphic. Though it might be one of the more age-appropriate shows on our list, it has pulled in a big adult audience because it dives deep into each of the girls' backstories, all of which include some sort of tragedy or trauma. Or as BuzzFeed writes, each one speaks to the tragically mundane trauma of simply being a young woman moving in the world. Fans have loved the series, and it was even renewed for a second season within weeks of its premiere. Maybe we can all relate in some way to this survivalist story, especially in a time when most of us felt trapped inside our homes due to the pandemic. Also, the show hits the nail on the head in portraying how hard it is just to be a teenage girl, no matter what your backstory is. Grown women of most ages can relate to that struggle, and perhaps The Wilds provides a window into the future for not only what young adult and female-driven programming can look like, but what young women can accomplish when they are forced to fully break down in front of one another and then build themselves back up together. For viewers who are looking for an escape back to middle school, tiny butterfly clips, and the year 2000, Hulu's PEN15 is the go-to.
I love you.
I love you too.
Oh my God!
The show first premiered in February of 2019 and has run through 2 hilarious and deeply cringeable seasons.
Aardvark, you got an aardvark? You got an aardvark.
I have a dog.
Just have a dog.
You're a piece of
Yeah, you're a piece of
But why are adults in love with a show about 2 weird 13-year-old girls attempting to navigate 7th grade? Pure nostalgia for one. The music, the fashion, the life and dial-up internet days, it's all completely spot on and has millennials screaming, "Oh my God, I totally remember that." Another thing that makes this show totally intriguing is the fact that the 2 main characters are actually played by women in their 30s, Maya Erskine and Anna Konkle. The absurdity of 2 grown women playing their 7th grade selves, along with an entire cast of actual preteens as their co-stars, is pretty bizarre, but it works. It's also how masterfully both Maya and Anna convince the viewer they are in fact 13, and their friendship is as intense and pure and ridiculous as any best friend relationship, especially at that insanely awkward and impressionable age. While the show can be totally gross and hilariously cringeworthy,
When we were at the dance, like, you were, like, grinding with just a few more people than me, and, like, when we were in the fight, I looked across the gym, and you were, like, 3-weighing kind of with, like, Gabe and Jafir. So
But you're saying I had 2 3-ways that night?
Maya and Anna's experiences also show us the tender, confusing, and at times incredibly painful moments of what it means to be an American teenage girl dealing with things like sexuality, divorce, and leaving childhood behind. And saving the best and most polarizing for last in our rundown of TV about teenagers that grown-ups should stream right now, we have come to the ultimate parental discretion advised show about high school kids, HBO's Euphoria. The drama series, which premiered in June of 2019 to a lot of critical acclaim, requires just about every trigger warning possible. For what looks like a normal run-of-the-mill suburban high school, a lot of serious drama's going down. And we're not talking about soapy gossip girl drama, we're talking about the most gutting stories of unrequited love, bullying, drug abuse, domestic violence, depression, addiction, and family dysfunction, all wrapped up in an hour show that is also bursting with style. The character stories are intertwined together with beautiful, trippy cinematography, a powerful and hypnotic soundtrack, and so much eye glitter. The show stars Zendaya took home her first ever Emmy for lead actress in a drama for her portrayal as the deeply troubled 17-year-old Rue. This role was a huge departure from the actress's squeaky clean Disney image. Rue is a lovesick drug addict who isn't chasing the happy, high feeling the title suggests, but rather the numbness from all of her trauma and pain. The mature rating for this series is no joke, and it's as much of a cautionary tale to teens as it is to their parents. Euphoria is as unapologetically graphic and disturbing as it is mesmerizing and oddly reminiscent. Are we saying everyone will be able to watch this show and feel the same nostalgia? Maybe not.
I really hate you.
I know.
But it still strikes a chord for many in its realistic portrayal of the complexity and cruelty of high school, especially when you throw social media and cyberbullying into the mix.
Over the last 3 weeks, you have knowingly produced and distributed child pornography, including obscene images that were taken on school property. You'd end up on a sex offenders list.
As critic Ben Travers wrote in his review for the first season for IndieWire, he says, quote, "Euphoria is a teen drama that actually strives to be honest to a teen experience. They're the worst teen experiences you can imagine, sure, but they're far from impossible ones. It is not a series for the faint of heart or anyone looking to escape via a lot of laughs and cringy nostalgia. The show is a well-written and beautifully acted show about smart, complex, deeply damaged, but also incredibly beautiful teenagers, and we are anxiously awaiting a full second season return to come soon."